hell of a lot more in the future, but right now this is the whole passion, and I've dedicated almost all my energy into this effect in the last 3 years. Training facilitators now, and the entire process is based on the premise that the entire reason, this is me coming up against the psychology community, dissociation is not a byproduct of post-traumatic stress disorder. It is what actually causes it. So in the moment of going through a trauma, if we don't have the capacity to find resolution with that trauma, a piece of our consciousness splits off, part goes forward, part stays back. It is that dissociation that causes what we're looking at in the future and call post-traumatic stress disorder. And whether we're going through a flashback on a visual sense or else an emotional flashback, which we could call a trigger, I started to think to myself, like, what do we know as extrasensories, as medical intuitives, as alternative health freaks? We understand that the body never does anything against the person who is called by that name, and it's their body, right? It's never going to do anything against you. So even a cancer cell is essentially not against you. So if we look at this idea that your body has always got the symptoms it has because it's trying to help you in some way, what would be the point or the purpose of these flashbacks? And it was instant. I mean, it doesn't take much. Probably just saying that, a lot of people watching this are like, oh, I get it. Obviously, if you're getting a flashback in any way, it's trying to call you back. See, the mainstream medical community loves to look at a flashback and say, oh, it's just intrusion. Like, it's your brain misfiring and you have to do something to get that to go away. What if you went with it instead? So I developed this process, basically, which takes people directly into their triggers and directly into their flashbacks so that they can have access to the unresolved event and thus cause resolution. Now, that's fun and super interesting to an average psychologist could get why that's great, but if you talk to somebody who understands the quantum nature of this universe, it makes it even more interesting, because if there is no space and time, and if the only aspect of your embodiment that you would need a time machine for is your physical body, you still have your mental and your emotional body. What we see when people are actually going back to memories is that they are going with their emotional and mental bodies, that they are actually time traveling. So when they are making these alterations to the causation, the trauma that they experience, you will inevitably watch a complete change in the course of events for the person on a mental and emotional level in the present. The only aspect of their life that hasn't changed is the physical aspect. So it's been so fun to do this work and so incredibly meaningful, because I didn't even know the implications to begin with. I started working with people going back in trauma, when they were serious addicts, for example. I've worked with them. Addicts where a medical doctor would say it's a cellular addiction. There's no way that you're going to be able to get past that. You're going to have to go through a withdrawal, even on a physical level. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to take forever. I started working with addicts, started taking them back. Once they resolve the issue that actually caused them to start using in the first place, they have no craving. So that was surprising, and I wasn't really anticipating finding that out until I started working with them. But I'm watching this thing happen where when we take people back and do this intense journey work, it's catalyzing such extreme change in their adult life. And it makes sense, because if you think of a root, all the branches come off of that root. So if one of these branches is an addiction, if one of these branches is negative relationships, if one of these branches is I can't get money, and we go back to the root of what caused that, and we undo the root, naturally the branches have to change. It can't be other than that. And it happens that fast. So, yeah, it's pretty like hold on to your seats type of process.